In this rapidly evolving global landscape, understanding the emerging dynamics is crucial. One of the best ways to stay ahead is by learning the newly coined terms that capture these shifts. We explore these critical terms and uncover the new trends shaping international politics. The first one in the list is polycrisis. This term refers to the interconnection of multiple global crises that interact in ways that make them harder to resolve. The concept emphasizes how economic, environmental, and geopolitical issues are no longer isolated but are deeply intertwined, requiring holistic approaches to governance and problem solving. The COVID-19 pandemic is a classic example of a polycrisis, where a health emergency triggered economic recessions, supply chain disruptions, and intensified geopolitical tensions. The interaction between these crises made global recovery more complex and multifaceted, highlighting the need for coordinated international responses. The next term is climate colonialism. This term criticizes how wealthier nations or corporations tend to exploit climate policies or environmental issues to dominate or control over poorer countries. It reflects concerns that global climate initiatives might replicate colonial power dynamics by imposing solutions without considering the needs and voices of vulnerable populations. For instance, the construction of a large-scale renewable energy projects in Africa by foreign corporations without adequate input from the local communities has been criticized as a form of climate colonialism. Critics argue that these projects, while beneficial for global climate goals, often disregard the social and environmental impacts on the local populations, replicating historical patterns of exploitation. Digital authoritarianism. This term describes the use of digital technologies by authoritarian regimes to surveil, manipulate, or control their populations. It encompasses tactics like internet shutdowns, censorship, and the use of AI for social control, reflecting growing concerns over the intersection of technology and human rights. China's use of its Great Firewall social credit system and the mass surveillance of its citizens through advanced facial recognition technology are prime examples of digital authoritarianism. These technologies allow Chinese governments to maintain strict control over information and dissent, showcasing how digital tools can reinforce authoritarian rule. Weaponized interdependence. The concept refers to how states use their economic or technological dependencies on one another as tools of coercion or influence. It highlights the strategic use of global supply chains, financial systems, or internet infrastructure to achieve political objectives. The US sanction on Huawei, a Chinese telecommunications giant, illustrate weaponized interdependence. By restricting Huawei's access to critical US technologies, the US leveraged its technological dominance to exert pressure on China, demonstrating how global supply chains can be weaponized for geopolitical purposes. Geoengineering diplomacy refers to the international negotiations, agreements, and policy discussions surrounding the deployment of large scale geoengineering technologies designed to combat or mitigate climate change. Example: geoengineering includes a range of techniques that deliberately alter the Earth's climate system, such as solar radiation management, reflecting sunlight away from the Earth, and carbon dioxide removal, extracting CO2 from the atmosphere. Given the global impact of these interventions, geoengineering diplomacy is critical to ensure that any deployment of such technologies is governed by international agreements that consider ethical, environmental, and geopolitical implications. The concept also involves establishing frameworks for cooperation, transparency, and oversight among nations. as geoengineering could have uneven effects across different regions, potentially leading to conflicts or unintended consequences.